Malaysia-Turkey $10 billion trade target achievable. UN forecasts global economic growth to slow. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Mohana Priya. You're watching World Today. The Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim is confident that the Malaysia-Turkey bilateral trade target of $10 billion is achievable based on ongoing programs and investments. This confidence stems from the implementation of effective programs as well as investments that have begun to show positive results.
I mean, the aim of $10 billion is not ambitious at all. I mean, you have a great economy, and we, of course, relatively smaller, but then growing at a very fast pace. As you know, we have now become the main attraction for semiconductors, AI, data centers, and new technology, new areas such as rare earth, etc.
Malaysia's trade with Turkey from January to November 2025 amounted to $4.92 billion, underscoring Turkey's continued importance as Malaysia's economic partner. Turkey was Malaysia's third largest trading partner, largest export destination, and fourth largest source of imports among West Asian countries in 2024. In a related development, Malaysia and Turkey have agreed to strengthen cooperation in strategic industries including defence, energy, construction and high-tech sectors. The move is in line with the future economic needs of both countries.
And we have decided as a country to focus on the strength of Turkey and your companies to procure. And you are venturing into many of the manufacturing industrial base, including drones, what have you. So our strength, other than the capacity to export energy, including LNG, is of course to focus on the new technology, which includes E&E, semiconductor, and AI, which we should then have this synergy together.
Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the laying of a wreath at the mausoleum of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the founder of the Republic of Turkey, is a mandatory official protocol that must be observed by all heads of state during official visits to the country. The ceremony is not a matter of personal choice, nor does it reflect the ideological stance of any leader, but is a long-established diplomatic requirement practiced by the Turkish government.
Semua ketua negara yang mengadakan kunjungan rasmi itu dikehendaki melakukan upacara tersebut. Walau setuju atau tidak, ini dia rangkaian program yang ditetapkan. Parti mana pun pemerintah di Turki, itulah perintahnya. Kerajaan pemimpin mana pun dari Malaysia yang datang kunjung rasmi, semua Perdana Menteri yang pernah datang di sini dulu, baik Tun Dr. Mahathir ataupun Tun Sri Najib, saya terpaksa melakukan upacara tersebut.
The Prime Minister advised the public not to make hasty judgments or pass condemnation without understanding the historical context and established international diplomatic practices that are customary in relations between nations. Global economic growth is forecast to decline to 2.7% in 2026 from 2.8% last year, before increasing to 2.9% in 2027. Now, the World Economic Situation and Prospects report said that while a sharp increase in US tariffs in 2025 created new trade tensions, the absence of broader escalation has helped limit disruptions to international commerce.
is that the global trading system has actually shown a higher degree of resilience than we had expected, and that the front-loading effects which we were observing were even stronger than what was anticipated. So this has actually led to some positive impact on trade, and through trade also on the global economy here, especially during the first half of the year.
The report said economic growth in the United States are forecast to edge up to 2% in 2026 and 2.2% in 2027. In China, the economy was projected to grow by 4.6% in 2026 and 4.5% in 2027. Now, the U.S. Senate advanced a resolution on Thursday that would bar President Donald Trump from taking further military action against Venezuela without congressional authorization, paving the way for further consideration in the 100-member chamber. The vote on procedural measure to advance the War Powers resolution was 52-47, as a handful of Trump's fellow Republicans voted with every Democrat in favor of moving ahead.
How can the American people watch this and not just groan and grimace and ache and fear when we try to do this kind of nation, when America has tried to do this kind of nation building, this kinds of regime replacement in the past? It's led to the American people paying the price in treasure and in blood.
The vote came days after U.S. forces captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro in a dramatic military raid in Caracas. Maduro's capture rattled world leaders and angered some U.S. Democrats, who said Rubio and other Trump administration officials had lied to them by insisting they were not planning regime change in Venezuela. Trump's administration accuses Maduro of overseeing a cocaine trafficking network. However, Maduro has long denied the allegations, saying they were a mask for imperialist designs on Venezuela's rich oil reserves. A woman was shot dead by an immigration officer in Minneapolis after she allegedly attempted to ram Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, officers with a vehicle in what authorities described as an act of domestic terrorism. The incident happened during protest action against an apparent immigration enforcement activity in the Minnesota city. The Department of Homeland Security, which oversees ICE, said on X that the suspect attempted to run over law enforcement officers with a vehicle in an effort to kill them. The department added that an ICE officer, fearing for his life, the lives of fellow officers and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. There have been passionate protests in some cities against the immigration enforcement operations of the Trump administration, which has vowed to arrest and deport undocumented migrants. Democratic Minnesota Governor Tim Walz reiterated that any investigation into the U.S. immigration agent's fatal shooting of the 37-year-old mother of three in Minneapolis should include the state's Criminal Investigative Division. Now, state and federal officials have offered starkly different accounts of the shooting, in which an unidentified Immigration and Customs Enforcement agent shot U.S. citizen Renee Nicole Good in a residential neighborhood.
I don't have a predetermined notion. Yes, I saw the video. Yes, I saw that. But a thorough investigation will see what happened before that. It will take all factors in, and it will come up with a fair and just conclusion. And we will accept that. Very, very difficult for Minnesotans to think in any way this is going to be fair when Kristi Noem was judge, jury, and basically executioner yesterday. That's very, very difficult to think that they were going to be fair.
The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, BCA, said it had initially agreed with the FBI to conduct a joint investigation into the shooting, but that the federal agency had reversed course and taken sole control of the probe. The decision, according to the BCA's Superintendent Drew Evans, means that the State Bureau will no longer have access to the scene evidence, case materials or interviews. Coming up next, Palestinian death toll in Gaza rises. Welcome back. Gaza's health authorities said on Thursday that the death toll in the war-torn Gaza Strip has risen to 71,395 since the conflict between Hamas and Israel erupted on the 7th October 2023, with the number of injuries reaching 171,287. In the last 48 hours, hospitals in Gaza received 3 bodies, 1 newly reported fatality, and 3 others recovered from the rubble, along with 7 new injuries, according to the Palestinian sources, who also say the remains of some victims are still buried under the rubble. Since the ceasefire agreement took effect on the 11th October 2025, Israeli attacks have killed 425 people and wounded 1,206 others. Hamas and Israel have accused each other of major breaches of the ceasefire deal and remain far apart on the more difficult steps envisaged for the next phase. Meanwhile, health authorities said 688 bodies have been recovered. The phase ceasefire agreement remains in its initial stage as efforts continue to recover the remains of the final hostage in Gaza. Israel has barred foreign medical and humanitarian staff from entering Gaza after their organizations were ordered to halt operations unless they register employee details with Israeli authorities and comply with new regulations. Fearing a renewed humanitarian crisis if medical and aid services can suddenly no longer access war-shattered Gaza, some of the 37 international non-governmental organizations that were ordered to halt work are weighing whether to submit staff names to Israeli authorities. NGOs say sharing staff details poses too much of a risk, pointing to the hundreds of aid workers who were killed or injured during the 2-year Gaza war.
One of the requisites was to give to the authorities the list of our national staff for all the organizations. So we received the same requisites, and that for Médicos del Mundo and for many other NGOs is a red line. We cannot share because we have the obligation to guarantee the security of our teams and, of course, to comply with the European data protection regulation. So in that case, we could not share this list.
Aceh's emergency status due to floods and landslides that struck the province in late November last year will be extended for another 14 days, beginning today until 22nd January. The decision was announced by Aceh Governor Muzakir Manaf during a virtual meeting which he chaired from the Aceh Disaster Emergency Command post at the Aceh Governor's office on Thursday. He said that the decision was made in consideration of ongoing disaster response efforts and on-the-ground conditions, including the fact that some areas remain isolated and that logistics movement remains limited. The governor explained that the extension aims to ensure environmental cleanup, the distribution of logistical assistance, health services, and the restoration of community access could be carried out more quickly and in a coordinated manner. The emergency status was first declared in Aceh on 27 November last year and has now been extended 3 times. Moving on to another story, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced on Thursday that the government will hold a royal commission of inquiry into the Bondi Beach mass shooting in which 15 were killed.
Today I announced that I will be recommending to the Governor-General in an Executive Council meeting that will be held tomorrow that a Royal Commission on Anti-Semitism and Social Cohesion be established. This was endorsed by a meeting of the Federal Cabinet today. I have asked that former High Court Justice, the Honourable Virginia Bell AC, to serve as the Commissioner.
Albanese also said that review, which will examine whether existing laws or information gaps stopped police and security agencies from acting against the alleged attackers, will now be folded into the Royal Commission. The Royal Commission will consider the events of the shooting, as well as anti-Semitism and social cohesion in Australia, and is expected to report its findings by December this year. The government last month announced an independent review into law enforcement agencies that will assess whether authorities could have taken additional steps to prevent the attack. It is expected to report its findings in April. Greek farmers blocked national highways with tractors across the country after more than a month of rolling protests, shunning appeals by the government to end the blockades. Now, despite the government's promises of cheaper fuel and full compensation for future output losses, the farmers vowed to close thoroughfares and border crossings. Farmers have intermittently blocked highways and border crossings with tractors to protest high production costs and delays in EU aid payments, among other issues. The government on Thursday warned of police action if transport continues to be disrupted and has also threatened to impose fines. It called the farmers again for dialogue on the 13th of January. Greek farmers also said they will be severely hurt by a free trade deal with South American nations EU member states are expected to vote on Friday. Greece has indicated it will support the trade deal, but said it should come with clear safeguard clauses and constant monitoring of its impact on EU production. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed met with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Thursday in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, with both sides pledging to strengthen mutual support and the alignment of development strategies. Ethiopia regards China as a trustworthy and close brother as well as a strategic partner, Abiy Ahmed said, noting that both countries have long supported each other and that bilateral relations continue to develop with strong momentum. Ethiopia appreciates China's long-standing support for its economic and social development and speaks highly of China's efforts in implementing the outcomes of the Beijing summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. Reaffirming Ethiopia's adherence to the One China principle, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed said that the country is willing to maintain close high-level exchanges with China and deepen practical cooperation in areas including infrastructure, new energy, artificial intelligence and marine affairs. He added that Ethiopia seeks to strengthen mutual support in regional and international affairs and promote sustained growth in bilateral relations. China stands ready to work with Ethiopia to implement the important consensus reached by the two countries' leaders, firmly support each other, strengthen the alignment of development strategies, deepen exchanges of governance experience, and continuously elevate the all-weather strategic partnership between China and Ethiopia. Japan urged for smooth international trade after media reports said China was delaying Japanese imports and rare earth exports amid an escalating two-month-old dispute between the countries. Japan's chief government spokesman, Minoru Kara, stressed the importance of smooth international trade, saying the overseas export of the country's agricultural, forestry and fishery products, as well as foodstuffs, must continue without disruption. He added that trade in rare earth minerals should also proceed smoothly, describing it as extremely important during a regular briefing. The slow customs clearance is believed to be part of China's reaction to Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi's suggestion in November of a Japanese military response to any seizure of Taiwan by Beijing. The Japanese embassy in Beijing has received inquiries from affected companies. The mission has urged China to properly handle trade procedures and ensure transparency. Coming up in sports, Tang Ji Yi-Wei march into Malaysian Open quarterfinals. Stay tuned.
Digital penuh dengan kandungan ganas, eksploitasi kanak-kanak dan buli cyber berleluasa di luar kawalan. Akta Keselamatan dalam Talian 2025 atau AMSA dikuat kuasa untuk melindungi rakyat. Pengguna boleh bertindak atas kandungan yang berisiko. Setiap laporan yang dibuat, platform digital wajib bertindak pantas terhadap penyalahgunaan digital. Internet kini lebih selamat untuk kanak-kanak dan keluarga kita.
National mixed doubles pair Chen Tangji To Yi-Wei have urged Malaysian fans to remain patient and continue backing their fellow shuttlers following their victory over teammates Ho Pang Ron and Cheng Su Yin in the second round of the Malaysia Open at the Axiata Arena yesterday. Tang Ji Yi-Wei were behind 16-20 in the second game but banked on their experience to claw their way back to come away with the 21-13, 23-21 win in 41 minutes in Bukit Jalil. The reigning world champions will take on Hong Kong's world number 8 Tang Chun Man Si Ying Sweat next for a place in the last four. The Malaysian pair are holding a positive hit-to-hit record against their opponents, having won 2 of their 3 previous meetings. Meanwhile, a contrasting fate befell national professional mixed doubles pair Goh Soon Huat Siobhan Lai Jemmy, who were knocked out after losing 9-21, 17-21 to US duo Presley Smith Jenny Guy. Soon Huat said his partner had yet to fully recover from food poisoning, which affected their performance on court. He said they will now focus on recovery before competing in the India Open from 13th to 18th January, followed by the Indonesia Masters from 20th to 25th January. Meanwhile, national top men's doubles pair Aaron Chia and So Yik had to battle their way into the quarterfinals. The second seeds were taken the distance before prevailing over China's Chen Shujun and Liu Yang 14-21, 21-14, 21-14 in 62 minutes in the season opener. The world number 2 pair will next face Indonesia's 8th seeds Sabah Karyaman Utama and Mohreza Pahlavi Isfahani. Also advancing to the quarterfinals were compatriots and 5th seeds Man Wei Chong, Pi Kai Wun, who thrashed Japan's Hiroki Midorikawa and Kyohei Yamashita 21-9, 21-15 in just 29 minutes. Kai Wun said the strong support from the home crowd played a key role in lifting their performance. Meantime, world number 7 men's doubles pair Goh Zifei Nur Izzuddin Rumsani were shown the exit by England's Ben Lane Sean Vendy in the second round of the Malaysian Open. Zifei Izzuddin struggled to match their opponent's pace before conceding 21-13, 21-17 in 42 minutes. They became the second Malaysian pair to fall to Lane Vendy in the tournament after Chong Hon Jian Mohammad Haikal Nazri were eliminated in the first round. Fresh from their Thailand 2025 SEA Games success, national women's doubles pair Pearly Tan and Tina were upset by Indonesia's Febriana Dwi Puji Kusuma Malaysia Trias Puspitari. Pearly Tina, who beat Febriana Dwi Puji Malaysia Trias in the SEA Games final, crashed out in straight games at the Axiata Arena for the first defeat against the Indonesians in 5 meetings. World number 2 Pearly Tina trailed 1-11 in the opening game before losing 24-26 and failed to recover in the second game, going down 17-21 in a 54-minute match against the world number 60 Indonesians. Moving on to football, Arsenal missed the chance to go 8 points clear at the top of the Premier League in a turgid goalless draw with champions Liverpool at a rain-drenched Emirates Stadium early this morning. Mikel Arteta's side had won 7 successive home league games and were expected to take advantage of their title rivals dropping points the previous night against an injury-hit Liverpool who started without a recognised striker. Liverpool looked in danger of being overrun early on but grew in stature and came closest to breaking the deadlock when Connor Bradley struck the crossbar in the first half. Arsenal sent on a host of attacking substitutes after the break, but to little effect as a cagey game pattered out. The draw put Arsenal 6 points clear of Manchester City and Aston Villa, while Liverpool remained fourth, 14 points adrift, despite a 9-game unbeaten league run. Arsenal failed to exert any pressure on Liverpool in a forgettable second half and did not earn a corner until deep in stoppage time, but even their famed set pieces proved harmless. Meanwhile, Al Nassr fell to a second straight defeat in the Saudi Pro League despite Cristiano Ronaldo's penalty as they were beaten 2-1 by Al Qadsiya early this morning. Al Nassr started brightly with Kingsley Coman seeing a first-minute attempt blocked before Cohen Castiles smothered a poked effort shortly after. But Al Qadsiya grew into the game and 6 minutes after the break, Al Akidi was drawn out to the left wing and hit his casual clearance against Julian Quinones, who charged down the loose ball to turn it into an empty net. Al Qadsiya then lost Castiles to injury. But within a minute of his replacement, Ahmad Al-Qassar coming onto the pitch after a long delay, they doubled their lead as Nahita Nandes rifled in the rebound of Matteo Retecui's saved shot. However, Al Nassr were given a late lifeline after Jihad Thikri's handball in the box, and Ronaldo confidently dispatched the penalty into the bottom corner in the 81st minute. Despite their late pressure with Coman hitting wide late on, Al Nassr could not find an equalizer and they remain 4 points behind leaders Al Hilal in the table. Ronaldo, meanwhile, took his goal tally for the season up to 14 goals, while he has had 83 shots so far this season, more than any other player in the Saudi Pro League. Toyota's Henk Lettigan retained the overall lead in the Dakar Rally on Thursday after American Mitch Guthrie Jr. led a fifth stage 1-2-3 for Ford in the Saudi Arabian desert. South African Lettigan, last year's overall runner-up, was 17th in the 371-kilometre stage from Al Ula Bivajic to hail with Qatari rival Nasir Al Attiyah 16th for Dacia to close the gap to 3 minutes 17 seconds. Sweden's Matthias Ekstrom remained third for Ford, 5 minutes 38 seconds off the lead. Now, the stage win was Guthrie's second of the event after Tuesday's success, making him the first driver to win more than once this year, and came after he finished 4 seconds behind teammate Nani Roma. The Spaniard then dropped to second after collecting a 1-minute penalty for speeding. Czech driver Martin Prokop was third in the stage in a non-factory Ford Raptor. Ford had 4 cars in the top 6 overall, with Roma fourth, ahead of Spain's 4 times winner Carlos Sainz in fifth and Guthrie sixth. And that concludes this edition of World Today. In our top story, Malaysia-Turkey $10 billion trade target achievable. Now we leave you with visuals of the Winter Park in Gyeonggi, South Korea, which is now adorned with millions of colourful LED lights for its annual Light Festival. Till then, I'm Mohana Priya. Salam Malaysia Madani. Thank you for your company.